Let's turn now to one of the most controversial live political questions in the world today, Israel's assault on Gaza and whether it is legal under international law. South Africa is taking Israel to the International Court of Justice, accusing it of violating the Genocide Convention by the way that it's acting, that it intends to destroy the Palestinians throughout Gaza. Israel, of course, has rejected the claim and application, saying that South Africa is, in effect, calling for the destruction of the State of Israel. I'm joined now by Professor Francis Boyle, human rights professor and a lawyer who was the first to win a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. It's very good to see you there, Professor. From what you've seen of the South African case, what is likely to happen, do you think? Do you think Israel is going to be accused or found guilty of genocide?
Well, thank you very much for having me on. My best to all my friends in Britain. To clarify, I won the first order of provisional measures of protection ever issued by the World Court on the basis of the Genocide Convention. That was for the Republic of Bosnia-Herzegovina against Yugoslavia. It was massive, overwhelming. And then I won a second order to the same effect.
I remember the cases well, sir. I remember them well. So what do you make of this case?
Right. Well, I have read all the legal pleadings, and I stayed up all night to watch the hearings. South Africa has presented a solid case, I would say an airtight case. And based on everything I've seen, my knowledge, judgment, and experience, I believe the South Africa will win an order of provisional measures of protection against Israel to cease and desist from committing acts of genocide against the Palestinians.
Well, that would be an enormously significant moment. But of course, Israel has a long history of, as it were, brushing off criticism and critiques from the United Nations and the international community. What would happen as a result of this if it did lose the case that would cause real problems for Israel?
Yes, South Africa can then take the order to the Security Council for enforcement. Right now, it looks like the Americans would definitely veto any enforcement. I regret to say it appears the UK government would also do the same. That would not be the end of the matter. It can then go to the United Nations General Assembly for enforcement under the terms of the Uniting for Peace resolution, and the consequences for Israel could be quite severe.
And presumably, whatever the Israeli government thinks or does, many Israeli citizens would be intensely embarrassed and angered by this, and it may well, of course, change the political atmosphere inside Israel.
You're correct, because the origins of the Genocide Convention came out of the Nazi Holocaust against the Jews, and that is why it says in Article 1 to prevent genocide. Namely, the convention is there to make sure you don't have another Nazi Holocaust against the Jews, but that the international community acts in cases of developing genocide. Yes, and that might be a blow over there in Israel, sure.
And to look at the other side of the argument, the Israeli government is arguing, in effect, that if it doesn't do what it's doing in Gaza, then Hamas will revive and the State of Israel will eventually be eradicated and destroyed, and that therefore it's a question of one side obliterating the other or the other way around.
Well, that's correct. Your Oxford professor, Lowe, had anticipated the Israeli defenses, and I think he did an excellent job of presenting them this morning. In my cases, I demanded a right of rebuttal against Yugoslavia, which I got. So I had separate rebuttals there. For some reason, South Africa did not request rebuttals. It's not obligated. It's discretionary. But Professor Lowe, I think, did an excellent job rebutting the Israeli defenses in his presentation today.